Welcome back to Girl Take the Lead, the podcast where we challenge the status quo, share meaningful conversations, and explore what it really means to find our voice and lead with intention. And I'm your host, Yo Canny. Have you ever had a moment in your life where everything you built suddenly shifted? Maybe it was a career change and you were laid off or fired. It happened a few times to me. A role ended, or maybe something you thought defined you no longer fit. And in that space, you're asking yourself a deeper question: who am I now? Today's guest knows that moment well. I'm so pleased to welcome Marques Ogden, former NFL player, keynote speaker, celebrated host of Get Authentic podcast, and best-selling author of The Success Cycle. After building a successful business, Marques lost nearly everything: his company, his financial security, and the identity he had worked so hard to create. But what followed wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something more honest, more grounded, and ultimately more aligned with who he truly is. He's an inspiration for all of us. In this episode, Marques shares his journey from success to rock bottom and the powerful lessons he learned about authenticity, perseverance, and rebuilding from within. It's a conversation about letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and becoming who we really are, even as we grow. Let's jump in. Here you go. Marques, welcome to Girl Take the Lead.
How are you? Thank you for having me on, Yolanda.
I've had the pleasure of listening to your podcast, and I'm so excited to have you with us. And I've had the pleasure of reading your book. So this is going to be a great conversation. Thank you again.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate us getting connected, and thank you for having me on your show and having me come on and talk to your amazing audience.
Yeah. And shout out to Linda, who kind of connected us. I know she'll be listening. So thank you,
I like
Linda.
she's awesome.
We love you, Linda. So let's start, if you would, to introduce yourself to the audience and tell them a lot about your background. Although, if you're seeing him in person right now, I'm viewing, you'll see some of his background behind him on the visual. It's just terrific. Go ahead, Marques. Thanks.
So my name is Marques Ogden. I am from Washington, D.C. I live in Fuquay, Berea, North Carolina. It's about half hour outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I am happy between Raleigh and Fayetteville. I am a dad of two amazing daughters. I have a 22-year-old and an 11-year-old. My 22-year-old will be graduating from NYU in May, and my 11-year-old is in sixth grade. I am a national, international keynote speaker, business coach, corporate consultant, podcast host, best-selling author, brand ambassador. I own different businesses that I align with. And I'm also a former NFL athlete as well.
Yeah. So let's tell everybody the name of your podcast so that we get that in for them.
So it's Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. So it is a podcast that's all about authenticity, how to be authentic, how to be real. And we really focus on our guests sharing their stories and sharing their experiences with our audience all around the globe.
Yeah. And your book, the title of your book. And
yes, it's called The Success Cycle. So it was written in 2020, and it's about three big keys, right, Yolanda? Ambition, drive, and hard work. So ambition is creating a blueprint, creating some type of roadmap for your life. Then you have drive, which is being inspired over motivated. I actually learned that one from one of my mentors, Mel Robbins. So I was on her audiobook, Kick Ass with Mel, in 2019. I interviewed with her in her studio in Boston in 2018. And she said, "Hey, Marques, are you motivational?" I said, "Yes, Mel, absolutely. I'm motivational. I'm all about what I love to do. I want to help people." She said, "So, Marques, you're motivational." I said, "Yes, ma'am, I'm motivational." She said, "Well, that's not good." I said, What do you mean? She said, motivation is garbage. I said, what do you mean? It's short term. You want to be inspirational, which means breathe life and or hope into people. So that's when I learned about being inspired over motivated. And that's being driven. And then hard work, Yolanda, focus on yourself and not the competition. Work on yourself, work on your stuff, work on becoming better with your methodology, with your processes, with your systems. That's what it's all about.
So, your backstory and how you got to all of that is pretty inspiring. I will say that. Mel Robbins is correct. It is just, I mean, your ability, your resilience. You've got to tell folks about your backstory.
Well, it's interesting, Yolanda. So we just found out today is March 25th. We found out yesterday that we're being brought in for our first TEDx talk in
Woohoo!
Toronto. And so it's on the power of breakthrough. And I got an email today, Yolanda. Not only have they selected us, they've asked me to lead off the event as the opening keynote speaker for the event. So we're very fortunate because it's all about the power of breakthrough and how to actually work through challenges, overcome adversity, and keep going in your life no matter what. So for me, I got drafted into the National Football League by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I played for almost 6 years in the National Football League. Had some great experiences, played for some great coaches, played with great teammates. When I left the game, Yolanda, for about 6 months, I struggled immensely
Mhm.
with alcohol addiction, gambling, nightlife. I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have a passion. I had no ambition, right? And so I ended up finally putting the bottle down and I got into construction and I built a company, or I started a company called Caden Premier Enterprises. We were a small concrete demolition contractor in Baltimore City. But unfortunately, as the company grew to become one of the largest African American, oh, actually, the largest African American owned subcontracting company in the city of Baltimore, state of Maryland, Virginia, and the DC area, my ego got enormous.
Mhm.
It got so massive and I became so pompous. I remember this like it was yesterday. In 2011, May 2011, we won an award as the Minority Contractor of the Year for the state of Maryland. And when that award was given to us, Yolanda, it's like
Mhm.
my ego just skyrocketed to the moon and beyond. You couldn't tell me anything. I
Mhm.
was like, I'm on top of the world. I have a multiple eight-figure company. I'm 30 years old and I'm on cloud nine. You can't stop me.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, my ego got so massive that it scared people in my company because they couldn't talk to me. They
Mhm.
couldn't tell me anything. I didn't listen. I wasn't empathetic. I wasn't compassionate. I was full of like just, I call them personality traits or
Mhm.
ethics, rage, wrath, envy, lust, anger. And I ended up scaring my best people, they quit. And then between that and then getting a job to go south very quickly, where I spent about $3 million of my money in less than 90 days on a project. When the developer and the contractor denied my change order, right, Yolanda? And
Mhm.
the bank cut me off, it sent me into a Chapter 7 complete bankruptcy. So it was December 23rd, 2012. The bank called me about 8 o'clock at night and said, Marcus, we've been meeting for 5 hours to decide the fate of Caden. We're no longer going to extend you any credit. We're shutting down all of your lines and we're going to come after everything you own in January of 2013. And that's it for you. And
Wow.
so then I had to leave Baltimore and move to the Raleigh, North Carolina area with only $400 to my name, Yolanda. That is it. My
Mhm.
house was foreclosed on. Both cars were repossessed in the same day. I got here with nothing and I had nothing and I didn't know anybody and I had a
Mhm.
job lined up and I was almost homeless. But thank God the NFL stepped in and they paid 4 months of my rent and my bills to keep me from going homeless. Now, that time I was working, then I got fired from my job because I just wasn't doing a good job. I got
Yeah.
fired from another job 5 days later, twice in the same week. And then the only job I could get, Yolanda, was a custodian working in downtown Raleigh for $8.25 an hour. That
Wow.
is it. And I ended up finally hitting rock bottom on my ship when I had my spoiled milk rock bottom moment. Somebody's trash and rotten meat got all over my body, my skin, and my clothes. And that was my wake up call. Like, wow, if I don't change and become more accountable and more responsible, I'm going to be on this curb for the rest of my life. So I got to work and I said, I'm going to change. I said, let's try to do speaking. So I started speaking in September 2013. I didn't get a paid job for 2.5 years, 30 months. Everything was no, 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 or free, nothing paid. Got my
Right.
first paid job in April 2016, second job, April 2017, paid. 2018, met Mel Robbins, learned the business. And in the last, let's say, 10 years of being paid as a speaker, we've worked for over 90 Fortune 500 companies as a speaker. And
Wow.
we've worked on so many more, you name it, finance, real estate, healthcare, you name it. And now we speak nationally, internationally. We're a best-selling author, podcaster, all these things. But I
Mhm.
tell everybody, I'm a man that's been made millions of dollars. I've been flat broke. I've had it all. I've had nothing. I've
Mhm.
made, thousands of dollars per hour. I've made 825 per hour. I've been all around the Marbury bush. But where I'm at today, I'll never go back because I'll never ever again, right, Yolanda, let my ego get bigger than the good part of my soul.
So is that where your direction and authenticity kind of started to get some traction? Like what?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, Yolanda, my authenticity started to gain traction when I started speaking more and telling people the truth
Mhm.
about my failure, about the struggles, about not being able to achieve success, about the struggles between, me growing the business and then actually losing the business, not because the business did anything wrong. I did everything wrong. My employees and my team members were great, but they didn't want to work for me because I was very tyrannical. I was very egotistical and I didn't listen. So I don't blame them. Of course, I blamed them then, but now I don't blame them.
Of
They
course
didn't
you
do
don't.
anything wrong. So the company took
Mhm.
a demise, took a fall because of me.
Mhm.
So what happened was the more I started to be authentic and vulnerable and real and sharing with people my experiences and all that, that's when authenticity started to take more flight. And then what
Mhm.
happened is I had a podcast, right, Yolanda, with another gentleman, and we called it the Levin Marcus Show. And we started out and we did pretty well. I mean, we were growing, we did stuff like that. And I was bringing in us good money through sponsorships, right?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, my co host and I did not see eye to eye as far as my progress. He felt we should be making more money and a lot more of it. I didn't see it that way. We were just still young. We were trying to get
Mhm.
going. We didn't really have a ton of downloads. So it's like more about relationship selling, which I just call it relationship building and not transactional. So people loved us and paid us to partner with us. But when we didn't agree and we got into an argument, we parted ways, right? And from there, I launched Get Authentic with Marques Ogden because I was tired of people on social media or some people on social media making it seem like, right, Yolanda, their entire life is full of glitz and glamour and
Mhm.
gold and everything is easy and there's no problems and social media is just nice and lovely and life is all rosy red And I'm like, that's not the way life is. And so I
Mhm.
wanted a podcast that was really about the real realities of life, the
Mm.
authentic parts of life. As a result of that, the show was launched in June of 2022. And now here we are in the top 0.5% most popular podcast worldwide. We are in the top business podcast in the world as well. And we interview all types of people, Yolanda, from all walks of life. And
Yeah.
people love
It is amazing that that topic could grow into, do you have over 800 episodes? It's like, oh my God.
That's right.
Authenticity for people is just such a great topic because we all have our moments where we've hit that bottom for ourselves. You demonstrate it so well for all of us. Perhaps we haven't been in the NFL, but there have been points in our lives where we really question, who are we? And what are we really about? And one of the wonderful things you say in your book, I knew I couldn't do this job. And if I stayed, I would get sucked into the trap of living someone else's dream, not my own. Oh,
Right.
that was so good. I went, oh, all of us go through this discovery moment, I think, of when we have our bottom and we're questioning who we are and is this my thing or is this somebody else's thing that I'm actually trying to live?
I had the pleasure of interviewing Coutinho Mobley, who's a former NBA basketball player, today on our podcast. He grew up in Philadelphia. He was telling us how, or he was telling me how he grew up with Kobe Bryant. He knew Kobe Bryant from when he was like 11 or 12 years old. And he talked about the Mamba mentality when it takes to have that type of edge. But he also said, if you want to make a living, work for somebody else. If you want to be wealthy, work on yourself. And
Mm,
that stuck with me because, again, he talked about investing in you. Now, I'm
yeah.
not telling you if you have a career working for somebody else to go and quit today and go out. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that what I believe Catino was saying is the best person to invest in is yourself. When you invest in yourself, it's never, ever bad. It's always money, time, effort well spent. So I was living somebody else's dream, right? And when I
Yeah.
got here and I started this business, Ogden Ventures, it was hard. It was extremely hard. Nobody wanted to take my phone call. Nobody wanted to even talk about hiring me. When I got through to people, it's always no, no, you have no experience. No, no. I could go on for days. But what I realized over time is I was approaching people with my hand out. I was approaching people with no type of value I could give them. I was
Mhm.
approaching people expecting them to do all the work for me because I was a former NFL athlete. Like, oh, I'm a former NFL athlete. Now I'm a speaker. You should be privileged to want to hire me. My attitude sucked. So once I learned how to change my attitude, and what a lot of people say, and I couldn't agree with this more, if you're going to be a speaker, it's not about you. It's not
Mhm.
about you or what you want to say, what you feel the client wants you to say. It's about the client, what they need you to say, right?
Mhm.
And the client wants to know, are you going to do research about them, about the company, about the theme? Are you going to tie in? I mean, that's how we got the TED Talk. The TED Talk is about the power of breakthrough. That's what it's about. And I've been breaking through barriers, walls my entire life. But the last, let's say, 13 years of my life, what am I, 45, 32, from 32 to 45, the last 13 years since April 2013 has been a whirlwind of ups, downs, depression, bankruptcy, broke, fired, up, down, kids, family, marriage struggles, divorce, up, down, you
Mhm.
name it. I've seen it, I've been through it, and I've dealt with it. But I'm still here because I keep breaking through barriers. I keep breaking through walls. And if you're listening to this awesome podcast, the key to breaking through walls And barriers is believing in yourself. I know that sounds cliche, but if you don't have the mindset to believe in yourself, why would anybody else? If you
Uh-huh.
don't have the ability to say, you know what, I know I can do this. I know I can start this podcast. I know I can start this new venture. I can go and speak on stage and share my story. I can put on social media that I have struggled and had hardship and lost and suffer and pain. I can put that out there. If you don't believe it, it'll never happen. Because again,
Mhm.
right, you think about it, it took me 2.5 years to get my first paid speaking job. If I didn't believe this was the right thing for me to do, I would have gave up on it long time ago. And I tell you
Mhm.
what, my days are stressful, long, full of stuff. But I tell you this, my days go like that because I actually love what I'm doing. It's difficult and challenging at times, but I love it. So I wouldn't
Mhm.
change it for the world. So again, understand, follow and invest in your dream whenever possible. You can never go wrong investing in yourself.
Yeah. Well, I guess that journey of investing in ourselves and finding ourselves and what's important to us and the values that we hold is like at the bottom of all of that. And I guess you could put that all together and call that authenticity because we're actually being true to who we are.
Yolanda, authenticity is knowing who we are in the moment,
Mhm.
knowing that the moment is going to change. We don't stay the same.
Mhm.
If we're not growing and not advancing, we're dying. If we're dying, we're in a really bad spot. Ladies and gentlemen, you should never, ever want to be the same tomorrow as you are today.
Mhm.
Never. Again, this morning I was up at 3 o'clock this morning. I had something to work with. I had some very challenging things to work through this morning. You know what? Today I was able to handle that. 6 months or maybe a year ago, it would have really broke me down because I would be like, oh my God, I gotta do this, and I gotta do that, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do that. And when you know what would have happened? Nothing, right? There's a saying, in order to really be successful as a leader, learn how to move and or break down mountains, which means you need to learn how to break things down to small, manageable action steps to execute. If you give your brain too much to do, if you overwhelm it, it shuts down.
Yeah.
So again, learn to invest, believe in you, because as long as you do that, you're always in a position to win.
Well, you talked a little bit about breaking things down, and I know in your book you talk a lot about goals. And a goal without an action is just a wish.
Mhm.
And loved that. And also loved, I got to say, I'm going to be honest with you. Um, I'm a former marketing professional for 42 years. I wrote marketing plans for all kinds of products and companies, et cetera. And to do a 5 year plan, my hat is off to you, my friend, because 5 years is a tough.
Long time,
But you say
long
that
time.
that's important to do. Now, for my podcast, I do an annual plan, no problem. But what I saw it as a real challenge to think about it for 5 years, like 5 years out. Oh my God, are we still going to be talking about authenticity? Can things still be that, interesting for people? I know I just bow down to you and go, 5 years, you
You
go,
know, Yolanda, you know
Marcus.
what's funny? I had a 5 year plan when I launched the podcast, and I ended up filing for divorce the next month after starting my podcast. But my 5 year plan never changed
It didn't.
because,
Oh,
and now
wow.
look, beyond, I'll be in year 4 of the podcast in June. So the 5 year plan was to just every single day continue to do something, one thing towards moving the podcast forward.
Uh,
That's where I feel most people struggle when it comes to the podcast industry. They expect something to happen overnight.
mm,
One hit to go viral and they become the next Joe Rogan. People have no idea. Joe Rogan has podcasts for almost, I think, about 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
before he ever made any actual money.
Yeah.
It's unreal. People don't see the work. They don't see the grind. They only
Yeah.
see the end result, right? People say, "Oh my God, that like Fernando Mendoza is going to be the number one pick in the NFL draft this year to the Raiders." I'm
Right.
99.9% sure. Like, oh my God, he's going to get $60 million. Da, 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 da. Like, okay, that's awesome. But do you see, or have you seen the work he did through middle school, high school, college, training, summers, regular, I mean, all year round to get to this point?
Yeah.
Probably not. So again, people fall in love with the result. They don't fall in love with the actual grind. And it should be the reverse. You should fall in love with the grind, and then the outcome will take care of itself, right? I always tell people, focus on your output, not the outcome.
Yeah. No, that's really good stuff because um I think a lot of resignation and different emotions can happen when we feel that it's a failure. Now, what I loved what you wrote about is that some of those goals you had, you even mentioned some that didn't work out, that it didn't appear to you as failure. It was it a new opportunity for you? How did you kind of navigate through those?
What happened is when I got into construction, Yolanda, I was chasing money. And when I lost everything, after calming down and cooling down, and then moving forward in my speaking career, the more I start to speak and get known for it and book work for pay and get recognized by my peers that this is my actual career, what I realized is what I went through was a learning lesson, right? And I needed to have that learning lesson to help me in my new career be even more relatable to people because
Mhm.
a lot of people can't relate to playing professional sports, but a lot of people can relate to losing everything in a business
Yeah.
or making a mistake or making a miscalculation or getting over leverage. So what I realized is that at the time, I deemed it a failure. But as I went on in my new career, I looked at it as a learning lesson, and I now help others to hopefully, right, Yolanda, not make the same type of catastrophic mistakes that I made. We're
Mm.
all going to make mistakes. We do this wrong, we do that wrong, that's okay. But I'm hoping that people that hear me speak or our podcast or our coaching will be going on shows like this awesome show. Just don't make the catastrophic mistakes that I did that cost me everything that I almost did not bounce back from.
Yeah. So, Marcus, would you say that your superpower is perseverance?
Oh, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, perseverance is tattooed on my right elbow
Oh,
line.
there you go.
Yeah, because here's the thing. That's again, the TEDx talk in Toronto is about the power of breakthrough, how to build perseverance and resilience. And that's what I've been doing my entire life, especially, like I said, the last 13 years. It's been a roller coaster like you wouldn't believe. But
Yeah.
again, I never ever got myself, off keel. I never ever got myself to a position where I felt I couldn't bounce back. There were some tough days, don't get me wrong, but I always believed I could bounce back. I always believed I could have that type of opportunity to move forward. I believed in myself when most others didn't. So, yes,
Mhm.
perseverance is definitely one of my superpowers because without it, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yeah. And I wonder if ambition is like right next door to it for you.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
Did you
my
have that
goodness.
on the other elbow?
So I've got perseverance here and I've got determination here. But
Determination.
ambition is all about creating a blueprint, creating something, a structure for your life. And that is something I'm big on because I tell people if you don't have a plan for your life,
Yeah.
if you don't have a structure or a system or some type of blueprint or map, you're going through life aimlessly with no purpose, with no sort of like plan. And again, you have to at least have some sort of plan. And one of my favorite quotes is, the plan was useless, but at least he had one. The planning was indispensable.
Mm,
General Dwight D. Eisenhower. So he says you have to always have a plan. Now, sometimes it could be garbage, but you got to at least have one.
yeah.
And then the planning, how you pivot, how you adjust, how you tweak, that's everything. You could
Yeah.
have never told me, right, Yolanda, I was going to be a keynote speaker for a career. So, y'all, we are having a conversation with a very large technology company on April 13th. They found us through a speaker bureau. Now, the funny thing is, the event planner told me, Marcus, I heard you speak at Aberdeen High School. Now, here's the thing, right, Yolanda? I spoke at Aberdeen High School in May of 2005.
Oh, wow.
That was 21
Years.
years ago when I was playing football in the NFL for the Baltimore Ravens. I
Mm,
was not a speaker. I was just doing that to fulfill getting out of the community and building relationships with our fans. But she remembered that. She told me that on yesterday. I was
mhm.
like, oh my God. She said, I remembered you from Aberdeen High School, which was, again, 21 years ago.
Wow.
21 years ago. That's what it's all about, right, Yolanda? That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's impact, right? That is doing what you know you're supposed to be doing. That's investing in yourself and then turning around and investing in others. So
Yeah.
again, I had no idea when I spoke at that school, I was going to be my career 21 years later. But obviously, the woman that heard me speak always believed I could. And now here we are again. And this is a big opportunity. This is their first ever learning summit in Indianapolis. And they're so excited about me being the potential closing keynote speaker.
Whoa. Well, Marcus, your action plan is just amazing that you are following in your
Thank you.
roadmap.
Thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
And well, when it comes to the roadmap, you had mentioned in the book several aspects of it, having a mentor or a coach and other things. What do you see there as being most important for our audience to know about their roadmap?
In order to create a roadmap of efficiency, I believe you need to have a mentor or a coach that helps you create it, because a mentor or a coach can help you see things that usually you can't see. And this is what's going to help you. Again, Mel Robbins gave me great insight on how to stop being motivational and be inspirational. And without her guidance, I don't know if I would have ever really truly learned that.
Uh-huh.
And she said, Mark, if you want to be a motivational speaker like everybody else, that's fine. If you want to be inspirational, like the few speakers like myself or Les Brown or John Maxwell or Brene Brown, you have to stop thinking short term. Think long term. So when you do that, you then
Mm,
shift from being motivational to inspirational. When you become inspirational, you become so much more of a sought after asset or commodity in this industry.
yeah. Well, Marcus, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to leave with the audience? I have a few more questions to ask you, but did you have?
No, this has been great. We're doing great.
So, a question that I ask all my guests, and I'd like for you to approach it, think about it for a moment, and maybe approach it because I'd like to ask you two questions. One is what you would tell your 20 something self today.
Mm.
And the other is what would you tell your 20 something daughter today?
I would tell I would tell both, right?
Mm,
Never, ever think that you have it all figured out. Never. Because that's what happened to me. My 20-year-old self, I was in my 20s when I lost I was 30, but I just turned 30, but like I was 31 when I lost everything. In my 20s, in my construction company, around 28, 29, around 29 years old, I made this shift to thinking everything I did was right. I had to have all the answers and I could do no wrong. And that was the beginning of the end for me in that industry. So I would tell myself, I would tell my daughter, I would tell anybody in their 20s or 20 years ago, never ever think you have it all figured out, because you don't. And once you realize that, you can actually ask for help and take guidance. Now you're into another realm of grace, because if you can stop trying to be everything all the time and ask for help and ask for guidance, now you're in a different league all by yourself.
Love it. Love it. And I'm wondering if you got a chance to go to our online store. Is there anything there that I can send you, or should I make you something and surprise you?
Please make. I'm just so grateful to be on your show, talk about what we do, to help spread, positivity, encouragement, authenticity, vulnerability, honesty to your audience. Whatever you send me, Yolanda, I am absolutely sure I will love it.
And then lastly, how can our audience find you and get your book and find your podcast?
Thank you very much. So for our podcast, you can either go to YouTube, Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. You can go there. You can go to Spotify or Apple. Again, Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. You can like, subscribe, follow, leave a 5-star rating and review. We always appreciate that. If you want to contact us, go to our website, www.marques, Ogden, OGDEN.com. And if you'd like to contact me, please go to send me an email, marques@marquesogden.com. Those are the best ways to get in touch with us, and we look forward to connecting with you and hearing from you as well.
Right, great. And would the email be the best way if somebody wants to get you as a speaker for their event?
Yes, ma'am. They can shoot me an email, Marques@marquesogden.com. It'll come straight to me. And I'm very responsive. And I get right back to people in a very timely fashion.
Yes. Thank you, Marques. And thank you again for sharing your wisdom and your inspiration for all of us, and writing your book, doing your podcast, getting the word out to help so many other people. I think we can all relate to you and to your story. So thank you.
Yolanda, I want to thank you so much for having us on your show. I appreciate you, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
My sincere thanks to Marques for such an honest and powerful conversation. One of the ideas that really stayed with me from this episode is this: authenticity isn't something we arrive at once. It's something we return to as we grow. Here are 3 reflections to carry with you. 1, growth doesn't mean losing who you are. It means becoming more of who you are. 2, rock bottom moments can become the turning point, not the end. And 3, and perhaps most importantly, investing in yourself is never wasted. If you'd like to learn more about Marques, explore his book, The Success Cycle, or follow his podcast, Get Authentic, we'll include all the links in the show notes for you. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Join us in our Facebook group. The link is also in the show notes. Next week on Girl Take the Lead, we welcome Carmel Clark, founder of the Center for Transformational Influence. Carmel's work spans the globe, coaching leaders, guiding women entrepreneurs, and creating transformative experiences that help people step into who they're becoming. From leadership and sustainability to personal growth and bold exploration, this conversation opens up what's possible when we lead with intention and continue evolving. You won't want to miss it. As always, thank you for listening and for being part of this community. Until next time, listen inward, lead outward, and remember, becoming who you are is a journey, and you're right on time. Talk soon. Bye.